You know, I've said this before, but Bruce and I, we have a really strange and wonderful relationship. He's strange, and I'm wonderful.
Communication Week at Wichita State brought alumni from all areas of the communication spectrum to come and share their wealth of knowledge and experience. Gary Bender is one of these alumni. Bender was at Wichita State to talk to students and was honored with an Outstanding Alumni of the Year award. Some of Bender's work includes calling both University of Kansas football and basketball games, and eventually being the voice of the Green Bay Packers and Milwaukee Brewers. He also worked his way to the top and started calling Monday Night Football games on CBS, and was able to call games with many famous broadcasters, like John Madden. For Communication Week, I had the privilege to sit down with Mr. Bender, and we chatted about his illustrious career and his faith in God. This is a Studio B exclusive.
It's really about who you know. I recently graduated as well. It's been tough finding a job, and to hear that you have to go to such extremes and meet people to find your first job. What kind of encouragement can you give to students?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of it is you always have to be prepared for that. I diligently try to get better. I sent out resumes. I made as many contacts as I could. It's still who you know. But I'll tell you, I got to the network. I had been trying for some time to get there. I was at the time the voice of the Packers and did the Big Ten and the Badgers, and I was doing well, but I wanted to get to that next level. So I got a call one day from a guy who says, "Hey, you're recommended as maybe network material. Would you send me a tape?" So I sent him a tape. He fired it back and says, "CBS has just hired you." I said, "Whoa, how did that happen?" He said, "Well, I go into a New York deli. I'm meeting with the president of CBS. We're getting ready to leave. We stand up. The president turns to me and says, 'Hey, we just lost Jack Buck. He went to NBC to do Grandstand. Do you have any young guy that you could recommend to come to CBS?'" And a guy on an adjacent table, overhearing the conversation, came over and he said, "Gentlemen, I don't mean to interfere or bother you guys, but I have somebody to recommend." Well, they looked at him and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm the producer of the Big Ten Game of the Week, and I'd like to recommend Gary Bender." So you can see it's really, there's not a lot under your control. I do believe this. I do believe if you have total tunnel vision and you don't want to do anything else, you don't want to sell shoes or pizza or whatever it may be, and that you think you have a special ability, you have something exceptional about you that you don't have to tell everybody, but you know it inside you, I think you'll persevere. And I think you'll continue to knock on doors, you'll continue to meet the right people, and somebody down the road will recognize your ability. And that's how it happens. I mentor a lot of young people throughout the country, and I do a lot of things where I will call and try to help them, or I will write a recommendation. And so many times, it may be the 5th or 6th time before it happens. But if you really love this business, you'll find a way.
Did you ever find you were at odds with your relationship with God when you're in such a competitive field?
I've had examples where I did things that I couldn't believe I did competitively. I don't know how much time you have, but I did the Olympics in 1988. I did the speed skating event when Dan Jansen was speed skating, long probably before you were born. But he had his sister die before the Olympics started, and he couldn't skate. He lost his edge. And in the big event where he was a world record holder, the finalist, and considered to be the favorite to win the gold medal, he crashed with about 10 meters to go. Roone Arledge, I was at ABC, and my earpiece said, "Get down and interview him." So I piled out of the booth, started to go down to the interview room where I'd been for 2 months, because you're at the Olympics for months. And there's a Royal Canadian mounted policeman there. He says, "You can't come through here." I said, "What do you mean? I got my jacket on. I've got credentials from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes." He said, "You can't come in here." My first thought was, I'm going to go through him. And then I thought, no. So it was an indoor skating arena, and I ran all the way outside into the snow, up to my knees, ran all the way around to the outside of the skating arena, came up through the furnace room, through the mechanical room, got in, put my earpiece in, and Jim McKay said, "Here's Gary Bender with Dan Jansen." Probably the best interview I've ever had. But here's what I'm trying to point out. There was a moment when I was running through that snow. It was like an out-of-body experience. I thought to myself, what are you doing? They don't even know you're out here. What if you can't get back in here? I mean, ABC is waiting on you to get to that interview position, but that's being competitive. And your faith, my faith, I think, kicked in, that I trusted that I'd made the right decision.